What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. Today I'm going to be talking about 10 UFA defensemen that the Toronto Maple Leafs could target this year in free agency. Now, some of these are going to be based off of just, what's been said in an article with Sportsnet. Not some of them, all 10 of them from this article from Sportsnet. But I'm just going to be giving my opinion on whether or not I believe that some of these guys are actual options for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So if you do want to see the original article, I will link it down below. It has 10 defensemen that the Leafs could go after. But like I said, I do want to just give my thoughts, because I actually do believe some of the guys on this list are not options for the Toronto Maple Leafs, whether or not they're going to cost too much money or they just aren't good fits on this team. So if you are new to this channel, make sure to subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Join the squad. I'd love to get up to like 8,000 subscribers. But again, it's just whether or not you like the videos and the content. I would really appreciate it. But just liking this video if you do like it, and commenting is the best way to do it. So if you want to do that, by all means. But definitely got a lot of content coming, not just based on the Leafs, but rumors from all over the NHL. So make sure to recommend some in the comments as well. But I want to get right into it. And of course, I just put up Alex Pietrangelo first. He was first on the list anyway. But I just kind of want to move past it. I made an individual video on Alex Pietrangelo on this channel. So if you do want to see that, go and check it out. The Leafs do have a chance to lock him up, but it's only if he would take a pay cut, which I don't believe he's going to do. I personally think the Leafs are going to go the route of trying to acquire two defensemen via free agency or trade. Better in free agency, to be honest with you. Maybe move out a guy like Justin Hall instead of breaking the bank just for Pietrangelo, especially if it's going to hurt the depth of the rest of the roster. But just, for the sake of talking about it, 52 points in 70 games, 24 minutes on average a night, captain material. He already is a captain, but on the Leafs, of course, they already have John Tavares, so he would become an assistant captain. His numbers are very good. He logs a ton of minutes. He's great defensively. He can do a bit of everything, of course, but it just doesn't seem like he's going to be in the cards for the Maple Leafs, just based off the fact that he's going to cost probably upwards of $8.5 to $9 million, where the Leafs would have to get him at 8 or a little less, which is probably not going to happen. So Pietrangelo probably not going to work. Now, this is an interesting one, because Chris Tanev is 30. Okay, so it's not like he's overly young, but at the same time, he's probably going to be looking for a 3 or 4 year deal, maybe more, depending on how this crazy year is going to wrap up, because there's going to have to be a lot of movement. A lot of teams are going to be trying to be creative, and the Canucks are going to have to be one of those teams. They have a few really bad contracts on that team that are pretty much unmovable, and I've mentioned them before. Guys like, they've signed guys like Eriksson and Beagle and stuff like that. Those guys create issues for their roster. Meanwhile, they have to sign guys like Markstrom. They have to sign Tanev. So that's a top 4 defenseman, or top 2, depending on how you look at it, because he's played a lot with Quinn Hughes. And then obviously Markstrom, starting goaltender. Tyler Toffoli is a guy that they'd love to hold on to, which is a top line player for them, or at least a top 6 guy on most teams in the NHL. So they are going to have to get creative. And Tanev is finally healthy this season, but the fact of the matter is it's a bit of a risk if you sign him, because he's probably going to get over 4. Again, it's kind of hard to gauge his market because of what's going on right now, but he's going to get a 3 or 4 year deal. He's going to probably get $4 or $5 million per season, maybe a little more, depending on who's going to overpay, or, maybe somebody gets him at a bargain. But if he stays healthy, he's a great top 4 defensive style defenseman. But if he's injured, of course, it's money just tossed away, because he's got a bucket full of injuries to his name. Now, you're obviously seeing on screen right now, he doesn't put up a ton of points, but he kills penalties. He can block shots. He plays big minutes, and he's shown that he's a great defensive style defenseman. Whether or not he can stay healthy would probably dictate what his market can be, but I don't know if the Leafs will be interested just based off of his injury troubles. Now, this one is interesting. TJ Brodie and the Toronto Maple Leafs have been linked together a few times via trade. Of course, he was supposed to be a Maple Leaf, but Nazem Kadri nixed that deal and said, no, this isn't happening. 20 plus minutes a night. Guy is a workhorse. Obviously, he's a left shot, but he can play both sides. He's going to kill penalties, good defensively, a little bit of a chippy guy. Nothing too crazy, but definitely a guy that would help. Again, not a guy that's going to, fill the stat sheet. He's not a huge points guy, but he does play big minutes. Obviously, any guy that plays 20-plus minutes is going to be a guy that gives you a solid top 4 option. So he would be somebody to look for, but I don't know if it makes a ton of sense for the Leafs to go after another left shot, even though, again, he does play his weak side. I'm not too sure if the Leafs would be interested in TJ Brodie. The only way I can see that is if they feel like they can get him to a good contract, to a good deal, versus what some other free agents are looking for. And maybe TJ Brodie wants to come to Toronto. I don't know. We're going to have to see. In my opinion, to me, it just seems like he might outprice himself. He might be a little bit too expensive in terms of what the Leafs are looking for, and maybe they're not okay with him playing on his weak side. Again, I'm not in the GM office, so maybe they like him a lot more than I'm giving off, but again, it's just an educated guess. Now, the next guy is his teammate, and this is Travis Hamonic. Travis Hamonic is another guy that apparently the Leafs had their eye on before, and I'm sure a lot of teams have as well. He's a right shot. Not a ton of points for him this past season, but also another guy that can play big minutes. Now, he's also a bit of a grittier guy. Not like crazy gritty, but like, he's not like the typical Leaf defenseman that we've seen. The only guy we've really had that can, get in there and get rough is obviously Jake Muzzin. And you've seen like guys like, Hall and Dermott start to throw a few more hits, but, Jake Muzzin is the guy that's going to go in there and, bang bodies around and try to, be the most physical guy on the ice. And Hamonic isn't exactly that type of player, but at the same time, again, he's another top 4 option, right-handed shot that, again, isn't going to always give you... he's not going to stand out every single night, but sometimes that's a good thing, because if somebody's standing out, it could also be a bad thing. So we've seen that plenty in Leafland with, some defensemen. The Leafs can't go back into this season with Cody Ceci and Marincin filling in for games. Like, they can't be doing that. They need guys that can play in their top 4 that are going to give them good penalty-killing minutes. And I think that the next option is a gritty guy that can put up a little bit of points, not a ton, and also play that big-time gritty role that the Leafs need. Now, Radko Gudas is the guy I'm talking about because, first of all, I don't think he's going to be that expensive this offseason, and maybe the Leafs can tack on another year to his contract to lure him in, because I'm not sure how many teams are going to be willing to give him a 3 or 4 year deal. Now, the Washington Capitals might want to hold on to this guy because, again, he's big, he's physical, right-handed shot. Like, as you can see, 6 foot, 205, right-handed shot. The points there, 2 goals, 13 assists. Again, not crazy, but he's going to give you some solid minutes. Maybe you play him on the second or third pairing, depending on who you want to play him with. I don't know if I'd be crazy enough to play him with Morgan Rielly, but if you want to have him for some protection for Morgan Rielly, you could do that. Or if you see that Rasmus Sandin makes this team and he's on the third pairing, maybe you put Radko Gudas there as a shield for Rasmus Sandin, let him do his thing, and Gudas can go out there and just flatten people. You need a guy to kill penalties and scare people in the corners. Radko Gudas is going to do that. Now, the reason why I feel he would be a good option is because if you trade a guy like Justin Hall, that frees up another $2 million. So you can get a Gudas for your third pairing, or depending on where you want to play him, and then you can get another guy in the same price range, maybe a little bit more expensive, to play in one of those top 2 spots. Because I think people are forgetting that Lehtinen, the defenseman from the KHL that the Leafs got, might have a chance to play some heavy minutes as well, depending on how well he does in training camp. But if you want that really, hard-working, gritty, tough defenseman that's going to give you good minutes, Radko Gudas is pretty solid defensively as well. He was a plus player, plus 15, good hockey player. I would really, really like him on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, this is a guy that I don't want the Leafs to be in on. I'm sorry, I just don't. Zach Bogosian, depth. If you're going to get this guy to a really, really cheap contract, and instead of Marincin, you're paying, a guy like Bogosian, like $700K, which I don't really know what his market's going to be like. I just don't want Bogosian as a top 6 guy. People might be on me for that. I just don't see how this guy is going to be a better option than what the Leafs have had in terms of giving decent minutes. Like he can play some minutes, okay? And I'm not saying I'm not saying that this guy is bad, and again, he's not, but I just don't think that he's the right fit for this Toronto team. He's big, 6'3", 220, right-handed shot as well, and he's probably a better option than Marincin, of course, but I don't really know if this is the right fit for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And again, some people might be like, dude, you're kidding. You need to watch this, and this. He's played a bit better in the playoffs, I know. Oh my God, there's kids screaming outside. I apologize. These kids never shut up out there. But if you heard that. But anyways, I just don't think Zach Bogosian's the right guy. And clearly that kid screaming outside agreed with me because I don't want him on this team. And again, that's no disrespect to him either. Joel Edmundson. Another guy, the St. Louis Blues, the Carolina Hurricanes, he got moved there. I forgot. Carolina has like 50 defensemen now. Just kidding, but you guys know they acquired quite a bit. Vatanen, Trevor Van Riemsdyk. Those guys got traded there as well. Brady Shea, they've had a bunch of guys that they brought in, not just on their blue line, but in terms of their forward group, whatever. They brought in a ton, and they're gonna have to deal with the dollars and move out a defenseman. Like they had injuries to their blue line, and that's the reason why they had to bring in other pieces. Now, Joel Edmundson, another guy who can put up a decent amount of points, but he gives you good minutes. Solid top four guy, in my opinion. 27 years old. It says here in the article, and obvious, it's clear as day obvious. He's 27, so he's one of the younger guys that the Leafs could go after on this list, and he would be good. It just depends on what his price is going to be. He might demand a little bit more than some of these guys on this list, of course, because of minutes played, decent amount of points, solid type of defenseman. And, obviously age is a huge factor when, wanting more years. So depending on how many years he won, it could get difficult as well. I can see the Leafs being in on him, but not to a crazy extent. He's a left-handed shot. I feel like they would want to put more of their value into a right-handed shot or, a guy that can play very strong on his weak side. And I think Edmundson can, but I just don't know if the Leafs are willing to go after another left-handed shot. And again, he also kills penalties, so that's another good thing that the Leafs need to replace. I mean, Cody Ceci wasn't the best penalty killer, but he did chew up minutes on the penalty kill, so you do have to replace that. There's just better guys on this list to do that, and I've named a few already. Now, this is the other guy. If I was to pick two guys on this list so far, and to be honest with you, in total, I would just like these two guys. Dylan DeMelo and Radko Gudas on this Leafs blue line makes them a million times better next season. And again, if you trade out a guy like Justin Hall, you can go after DeMelo and Radko Gudas. Of course, if you also trade Andreas Johnsson, you're freeing up enough cap space to really pump some money into these two guys. Overpay them slightly. Don't overpay them like crazy, but maybe tack on that extra year to get them to come to Toronto. I think it would be a really good idea. Obviously, DeMelo went from Ottawa to Winnipeg. He was playing really well in Ottawa. Went over to Winnipeg, played even better. He's going to get a pretty solid contract this offseason, and I think the Leafs have to be in on this guy. Now, looking at his points right there, the guy doesn't put up a ton. He didn't get a point for the Jets at all. But the thing is that when you put him on the ice, he's preventing pucks from going in the net. And that's something the Leafs need. Forget the points. The Leafs have guys that can score. They have defensemen that can go out there and do their thing. If you put a guy like Dylan DeMelo beside Morgan Rielly or a Jake Muzzin, you're allowing those guys to do what they got to do. Or you just straight up have a shutdown pairing with DeMelo and Muzzin. Those guys are not going to get scored on that often. And then, if you do move him with Morgan Rielly, Rielly gets to do his thing. He has a security blanket in DeMelo. It would work out perfectly. It's just going to come down to price. I don't know how much DeMelo is going to demand. But again, if the Leafs are able to offer that extra year and, pay a little bit in the signing bonuses because they have that money that's not against the cap that they can use to their advantage, I would really, really hope the Leafs would be in on this guy because I think he is one of the better options, if not the best option on this list for the Toronto Maple Leafs in terms of what they really need. All right, a couple guys left here, not going to spend too much time. Andy Greene would be another addition like Ron Hainsey, left-handed shot, older guy, 37 years old. He's solid. Like, he's not great, but he's solid. I just wouldn't want to give him big minutes. The Leafs want a guy that can chew up huge minutes and protect some of these forwards that the Leafs have that need to get taught how to back check properly. I just don't want to experiment this again. I think Greene is going to be on an NHL squad next year. I don't know for how much, but maybe the Islanders just hold on to him. He's done pretty well for the Islanders. Nothing too crazy, but look at his minutes. 19 minutes. He's done really well. He's a leader. I know a lot of people are scratching their heads for a move like this, but I don't know. I just wouldn't do it. Sorry, guys. I got to move on. I just wouldn't do it. All right, last guy on this list. We've talked about Vatanen quite a few times on this channel. He's been in the rumor mill for like 3 years now that I've been making videos on rumors and stuff like that. He's a very offensive style guy. He plays a ton of minutes. Look at that, 21, 45 a night. The guy can play top 4 minutes and he can play top minutes, but he to me seems a little bit more like an offensive guy. Like, he's a right-handed shot. Like, he to me seems more like the offensive side of the game versus the defensive side of the game. It's not like he's bad at the defensive side. Like, I think he's a pretty decent all-around defenseman, but just in like the point I'm trying to get at here is that the Leafs really want to focus on the defensive side of the ice here, and guys like Gudas, who is a lot more physical than a lot of guys on this list. He's probably the most physical, and then like I said, you've got a guy like DeMelo, who is the best defensively on this list. Tanev, when he's healthy, is right there too, but obviously the health factor kicks in and you're not really sure how to gauge that. I'm going to put Pietrangelo back up there again because I'm sure people want me to keep talking about him, but I don't think it's going to happen anyways. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Again, just my thoughts on what the Leafs could do this offseason. If you want me to talk about specific guys on here in more detail, I can definitely do that. There's going to be tons of videos coming on probably similar topics as more rumors come out, because it's happening almost every single day, and I want to get to more teams around the league too. I actually have a video I'm going to shoot right after this regarding the Winnipeg Jets and Patrick Laine and Nikolai Ehlers. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, do subscribe if you enjoy the content. I love and appreciate you guys as always, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video or stream. Peace.